Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMAjunkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. Ari's co-host, Backy's producing. It's Andre the Giant. What's up?
Hey. What's up?
Wait, Andre, did you just give me an ew?
I gave you an Ayo.
Oh,
that cut out, so all you said was ew.
yeah. I was like, what are you, like a high school cheerleader that saw something she didn't like?
I didn't say L. I said Ayo.
Oh,
yeah.
What does ale mean?
It's like
I don't know.
I'm here.
I don't know if it's an East Coast versus West Coast difference, but like Ayo. Like
I thought it was more like
Ayo.
more like a Canadian
say
thing.
Boom, boom, boom. And let me say, you say that one?
Probably.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That's
It's
what
just Ayo.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good to have you, brother.
Thanks.
And we're going to have a fun show today.
That we will.
I'm sure you've all have noticed, and if you haven't, then maybe this is the first time we're springing it on you. We're now Fight Nation Channel 156. It's official.
Whoop, whoop.
Lose the 93. We're Channel 156. If you haven't touched anything, then the preset's already set. But again, if you fumble any of the presets, somebody else uses your car or messes with it, just remember 156, and that'll bring you back to us. We're still 877 Fight 93, 877-344-4893. I was thinking about that today. Are we still going to be Fight 93, or is that going to change?
Yeah, so far it is still 877 Fight 93.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense right now, but the word fight's in it, so that's all that matters.
Right.
So it's still a fight.
I wonder if we could be Fight F-I-T-E. You know how Fight TV does their F-I-T-E,
okay.
and then
Yeah.
156. But nah, that would mess it.
Clever, but
That would mess
like
people
literally
up.
we just got this number a couple
I
months
know.
ago.
It was so
So,
smooth.
like-
It worked so well. But hey, the other way is 877-344-4893. So there you have it. All right, on Twitter at MMA on SiriusXM. Today's guest will be Artem Lobov, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And we may have a surprise guest, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. But I'm tired of promoting him. He's been a little flaky lately. So I told the editors, just leave him off the preview. If we get him, bonus. If not, oh well. No harm, no foul. And we're going to, of course, trudge along, discussing some of the latest hot topics in the sport of mixed martial arts, including, if you haven't heard, Conor and Khabib going at it. They've chilled out by now, but they've been going at it all week. I think it's dying down now, but it was quite the Twitter beef, I guess, is what they call them. And look, I'm not gonna lie, there were some shots below the belt, but I'm just not, I guess, as offended as others. But I do understand that there are that people can be offended, so that's fine. I'm okay with that, and I understand that. And I realize that I'm probably out a little bit of an outcast when it comes to that. What a nice day. There's Natalie, one of the waitresses, and I see two of my best buddies, the Squid, out there, and Big Ralph as well. Nice little surprise to walk into. Have they been hitting it hard over there? They got a lot of drinks over there.
Oh, you didn't know they were going to be here?
Well, I knew Big Ralph was going to be here.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know the Squid was going to be here, except I knew I was going to see the Squid later because I think I'm going to go to the Vegas Golden Knights game.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So,
one of them has been hitting it hard.
yeah.
But not bad. Just, I just saw one of the drinks that was brought to him.
Yeah.
And it was not messing around.
Okay. All right. Well, it's nice to see them. All right. So let's rewind a little bit with Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib's the UFC lightweight champion who defeated Conor McGregor. I know some of you are newer to the sport, so I'll slow down a little bit. But the Russian, Khabib, had been doing a round of media. Well, he was in Moscow, Russia, and he was asked, like, I can't remember if it was a seminar, he was doing a round of media about Conor McGregor, and he referred to him as a jealous wife. Right, Goes? I got that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was soon followed by a tweet from Conor McGregor that said, "Mate, your wife's a towel." So I know I said that fast. Mate, it's like saying pal. Your wife is a towel. But he also posted a picture that he took down 15 minutes later, but he posted it, and it was Khabib when he got married. And Khabib is very private about his personal life.
Yeah.
He's been on our show. He had told us he was married.
Mm-hmm.
But she was wearing traditional Muslim, am I saying this right, headwear. And how was it yesterday, Andre? Hajib?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a hijab, but
Hijab,
I saw
okay.
the picture again, and her face is all covered, even more covered than a burqa.
Yeah.
So I'm still totally unsure of what that is.
Well,
Hijab, okay.
burqa is with like
You
you
the
could
eyes.
see, right?
Yeah.
For your eyes only.
Yeah,
Okay.
and here was completely covered, and that's their tradition over there, all right? So I don't know if it's part Dagestani, part Muslim, a little bit of both. I don't know. But he found that picture, he posted it. So that was in reference to the jealous wife comment, because why would he reference the wife out of nowhere? I wouldn't say he would not say that, because with Conor, all bets are off. But no, he just doesn't. He's not really going to go there. He posted it. He took it down. A lot of people were offended. A lot of people were just disappointed, too. And then the next day, I wake up to Khabib also bringing family into it, but pointing out more than anything, as he started calling them, "You racist," something along the lines like,
He was hashtagging it.
You got your own problems. And that's alluding to the allegations that came out about a week and a half ago to Conor McGregor, and something that happened in December of 2018. But it also included a picture of Conor with another lady who isn't his lady. And so we knew at that point the gloves were off, and this thing can either just spiral out of control or not. Luckily, the UFC also felt that way. Many times they've dismissed it as it's the fight game, especially UFC President Dana White. It's the fight game. Look, these are grown men. They fight for a living. Things are going to be said. Things are going to be done. Social media, there really is no regulations to it. But he was able to put out a statement, and they basically said they were going to alert all the parties that this just has to stop. And that was nice to see. So along the way, Conor then puts out a final tweet that I read on yesterday's show, because he had just, as we were doing the show, he had put it out about a half hour before that, where he implied, "See you in the octagon." Basically, hey, look, I'm moving on from all this. I respect all races, colors, cultures, and a few lines later he said, "See you in the octagon," which, again, I took that, I think Goes brushed it off a little bit. I brought it up to him, and he didn't think as much into it, but I thought,
don't think much into it.
not that it was his official unretirement, because I think we're all convinced he's not really retired, but I think it was his way of saying, "I'm fighting soon," I'm fighting, and I think what he was saying was, "Boy, I've been dumb the last 2 weeks. I'll get back to fighting. See you later in 2019." There you go.
I think
That's
it
what
just I think it just meant if you want some, I'm here. Let's go again.
Okay.
I think that's all it meant.
Okay.
I don't think it meant I'm looking for a fight. I'm coming back. I think it just meant if you want some,
Well, I think
you
he's
know where
looking
to
for a
find
fight, because every weekend he calls somebody out. Usually it's the main event winner or big high-profile fight winner that's in his weight class, and he's been doing it for a few months now. It's also a slick way of just staying, as the number one guy at the top of the mountain of superstars that the UFC has. But he does it regardless. And I don't have the biggest problem against it, because I like it. I like fight nights that kind of have a buzz, not just what's occurring in the octagon, but on Twitter. I love seeing other people's reactions. I love senses of humor. I love good jabs. Doesn't matter, I like seeing that. So that's never really bothered me. Now, every week kind of gets old in the sense that, well, which fight is it? At least like narrow it down or tell us what you're thinking instead of calling everyone out. But because Conor versus anybody, Conor versus fill in the blank is a great fight, except for maybe Gregor Gillespie or Khabib again, or someone that's just completely not interested in striking.
Yeah.
But for the most part, somebody likes to throw some hands. Even a lot of the wrestlers that have adopted really, really nice hands, like a Justin Gaethje, an NCAA 2A All-American who wants to throw hands and kick you in the legs. That would be a great fight. So,
Well, now I think you have the argument that a lot of people are saying, hey, boys will be boys, they're fighters, it's a fight game. But now we're starting to hear a couple other fighters chime in, right, with their opinions. Kelvin Gastelum's one of them. He says, I think there's some lines that shouldn't be crossed. And this rivalry that is going on right now is escalating to a point where it shouldn't have to. You know what I mean? He goes on to say, I feel like if it keeps escalating this way, somebody's going to end up getting hurt or shot or something. I truly believe that.
I could believe that too.
I absolutely believe that as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying one of those two, but definitely people involved in it, or even fans that are drinking too much.
Yeah.
It happens in baseball all the time. You can make fun of my Dodgers if you want. It's happened there. But it happens in a lot of sports.
That's right. The Dodger Giants, right? Isn't that what happened? It was I mean, they have a rivalry, and I think it was an opening day about 5-10 years ago. Someone got stabbed in the Dodgers parking lot.
Like that.
So, yeah, look, this definitely could escalate. The UFC has excellent security on fight week around the hotel, especially at the arena. But, I mean, on a fight week, especially, like, I'm just thinking of Vegas, but I know other metropolises are like this. I mean, fighters are in and out of a bunch of spots, you know, gyms, the your local Whole Foods, the hotels themselves. They're, you know, you're not all just centered like in one lobby. They're all over the place inside there. Walks to the in and out of the arena, because everything's kind of centered within like a certain radius. So yeah, I could definitely see that. Calvin makes a very good point. Here's what I wanted to ask you though. If you want to join the party again, it's 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. I'd love to hear some opinions from people. Again, too much or boys will be boys, but. And I'm not picking on Kelvin, only because you happen to read that name. If Kelvin, if somebody asked Kelvin that, whether he tweeted that on his own or not, but if somebody asked him that and he publicly said it, would it be the same as you and Kelvin are at the bar and you go, look at this? Would he tell you the same thing? Or is everybody, again, this is what I was telling you.
I think he would.
Everybody kind of puts on this public persona of, you know, oh, well, this is unfair or unjust, or this is, you know what I mean? Because you think that's what people want to hear, or you're just trying to save your hide.
I think he would, and it's only because his manager's involved in this. So if there's a time to kind of tone it back a little bit, this would be it. Instead, he's kind of going the other way, like saying, hey, this needs to stop. So I think he would honestly do that.
See,
I do think there's a lot of people that would I think there's
50% of the people that are out there making these public statements, media, fans, promotion, fighters, that are looking at it and going, oh, man, he waxed him. Woo, did you see his comeback? You know, whatever. And reacting that way.
Well, here's Chris Cyborg.
Okay, let's hear what
she says. Now that the sport is on ESPN, we are in the homes of more kids. We need to unite, not divide. This is what sports are for. I kind of like that.
I liked it too. Yeah.
Because it's like a different angle, right? She's saying, hey, kids could be watching this stuff. Like, let's tone it down a little bit. Yeah.
For sure. All right, I'm being told we have a caller right now, so let's talk to. Well, we have a couple. Mike in Connecticut wants to talk Conor Khabib. Excuse me. What's up, Mike?
Yes, I'm not a great fan of trash talk in general, but forgetting that, I don't understand what Conor's doing in the sense that he could be just making a fool of himself. Not because of the content of what he's saying, but he supposedly hung him up and not under favorable circumstances. He doesn't have the greatest record recently. He's not, apparently, he can't be in the best shape, whatever he's doing. In order to get away with that kind of trash talk, which is what he did, and it was spectacular, he was producing. So if he's not going to go in with the same dedication fighting, and giving him the same stellar results, he's just going to make an ass of himself mouthing off all the time. There's no point to it.
Right. Well, I would say that his run started about 5 or 6 years ago. And slowly but surely, he progressed in terms of popularity and also power within the sport. But there was about a 3-year run, maybe 2 to 3 year run. We'd have to go back and see when exactly he kind of took the crown off of Ronda. I remember one of those hashtag press conferences when he said, I sell the most. And he remembered Ronda was there, and he corrected himself and said, out of the mail. He corrected himself because Ronda was still kind of holding the mantle, I guess, of being the biggest star in the sport, and him and Ronda have a lot of respect for each other. But then, of course, after the fights with Nate, and then Floyd, and then Eddie, and I know I'm not saying it in order, but you know what I mean, and most recently with Khabib, he has just been crushing everything in MMA, and now hobnobbing and, you know, rubbing elbows with Cristiano Ronaldo's and the Patriots and the Cowboys and whoever else. And so he just, like, again, power, ego, wealth. It's all addicting. It's all intoxicating for a lot of people. They love it. And when you take it away, and all of a sudden you're not it. You're not the alpha male of the room or the division. I guess he's not even the champion of the division, and you know, maybe not everyone is opening that door like they used to. You miss it, you know, and you try and find ways to get to it. And one way to get to Khabib, to get to that title, is to fight Khabib again for the title. And one way to do that is to convince everyone else, hey, forget about Ferguson's 13-1 record. Forget about the fact that Poirier's on fire. Forget about the fact that Max is, you know, coming up in the world, and Gagey and everybody else. I deserve a rematch, even though I got finished and I really wasn't too competitive in that fight. He's trying to pick a fight that way, in my opinion. I think that's what it is. Plus, the attention. I think that's another thing. He's a little bit of an attention whore, and I kind of liken him to somebody who went to a high school and ran for 2,000 yards and scored 20 TDs, and everybody said, "Wow, you're the greatest we've ever seen." And then 10 years later, that someone's running for 2,500 yards, 30 TDs, and now they're the greatest you've ever seen, and you're kind of still trying to prove, well, in my era, or maybe I didn't have an O-line like he did, or maybe now you see what I'm saying? He's trying to still hang on to a little bit of that past. But it's not 10 years in this case. It's just a couple years ago, he was the man. He literally was the man. And not that he still isn't, because he's one of the top out there, but not like before. So there you have it. Let's go on to the next one. Who do we have, Cuz? We have Kevin in Chicago. What's up, Kevin? How you doing?
What's up, guys? Yeah, I got to touch on the drama as usual. So I'm not going to talk about Conor. I'm going to talk about Ali Abdelaziz on Twitter, running his mouth as usual because he thinks he's got this moral high ground to talk on. I mean, who does he think he is? Did you not see the video of him running up on Colby Covington, picking fights in the buffet line when the dude just sit there looking at his phone? And then another instance was him running up on Jimmy Rivera after his knockout. And then he says to Conor, I'm not the big Conor fan, but he says, oh, go back and learn wrestling and maybe you can win a fight. Ali, your record is 1-3 and your 3 losses are all submission. So for him to sit up there and run his mouth like he's some badass, I wish he would just go do his job as a manager, make fights, and sit in your office like a manager's supposed to do. But he's sitting there running in with this pack of fighters like he's some badass. I wish someone in the media would call him out for it, but it seems like nobody wants to. They're afraid they'll get blackballed by the fighters, so they won't be able to do interviews with his fighters. Somebody's got to call this guy out because he's not innocent in this drama either. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
You know, it's funny. With Kevin, I usually agree with half of his call. And this time, again, I agree with half of his call. I agree. Ali probably shouldn't do those things, okay? But the problem is, if you bring it up to him, most of the time he agrees with you. And he says, yeah, I probably shouldn't do it. But I still do it. The thing that I don't have a problem with is he's never going to say something and not back it up. You saw what he did to Colby Covington. He said it before. If I see you, you're going to be in trouble. He saw him. He was in trouble. So it's not like he's saying these things and then running away and just causing a ruckus over here and then running away. Like, he's telling people this is what I'm going to do, and he does it. I kind of respect that in the sense that, well, at least he's not fake. You know, I mean, he's telling you. He probably shouldn't be doing it.
He fought before.
He trains with them.
He trains a lot.
Yeah.
He, I think, also enjoys taking a little bit of the spotlight off some of the guys that maybe aren't vocal and him being that mouthpiece. It works. It's a little bit of pro wrestling in a way because look at Brock. He doesn't say much, but Paul Heyman pretty much says everything along the way, right? Now, I know that's orchestrated. You know, that's what they chose. It's not like Brock can't talk or anything like that. But I think Ali just seems to be a little bit vocal. His guys like him, and his guys back him up.
Yeah.
So in his eyes, he doesn't feel like he's doing something wrong. you just find it offensive, or Kevin, or you just don't like it. But none of the guys in his stable have a problem with it. Now, on this show, I'd like to say that we've had some great conversations with him where we've talked about some of these sensitive subjects with him, and he's given us some answers. And just like Ghost says, he'll admit to him. Sometimes he says, I'm a hothead, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes he's apologized for certain things. So he's pretty upfront and transparent when it comes to that.
Ariel's been upfront with him too.
Yeah, Ariel and him, they spoke about some issues that they had, and they were able to squash it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Kevin wants, like confrontation or anything like that.
But I agree with what Kevin's saying, don't you? Like, yeah, probably to a certain degree, he should take a step back. That does make sense.
Who, Ali?
Yeah, but he's telling you what he's going to do, and he does it.
Ali is always going to he's never going to have him and Connor, I doubt will ever hug it out.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can tell. Because when he was here, he clearly said that to us. And I don't know what it's going to take. I certainly don't want anyone to get hurt, and I certainly won't want to think the worst, but it just sounds like he's not over it. Even though his guy clearly beat Conor McGregor, he's just not over it. Let's do one more. Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco? How you doing?
Marco from Waco, ¿qué pasa, Atos?
What's up?
So, I'm not the biggest fan of Ali Abdelaziz, and he's been very clear when I talk to him. I have a spar verbally with him. I recognize the guy is a fantastic manager. I mean, he got 4 world champions on his roster. And for better or for worse, he does good to his fighters when he represents them, with the UFC and, financially. He's a good manager when it comes to the professional part of it. The problem I have with him, and I don't even have a problem with the verbal sparring. You can do that. But when he's willing to go physical with other fighters, that is when I got a problem with, because that is not his place. If you want to get physical with a professional fighter, get a professional license, a professional fighting license, and try to get in the octagon with them. Let's see how it goes for you, Ali. But don't try to get like all big and tough, and then the other shit where you got 20 other people around you. More often than not, nothing's going to happen to you, but you're still going to get your jabs out. With this whole ordeal, with the tweets and stuff, it might be dying down, but the problem I get is with the fans. Irish fans, the hooliganism on soccer, it kind of sort of follow a little bit with some of the hooligans of Irish fans when it comes to Conor McGregor. They love to drink, and they're hotheads. And on the Muslim world, whether we like it or not, or whether I recognize that there is fringes on the Muslim world that are willing to get into a car and mow down people for the hell of it, or strap freaking bombs around themselves and blow themselves up. So if you stoke those fires, whether you like it or not, you might get in something that might hurt or get somebody killed, whether you intended it or not. Peace out, guys.
Okay, see you, Marco.
Yeah, I mean, these are all absolutely things that can happen.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're shutting it down. At least Conor did. And I think Khabib will as well. So now it's just now we're just left with, well, what's next for each guy? That's something we'll tackle later in the show. Right now we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Artem Lobov, one half of the equation for Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships 5, the main event. Bare Knuckle Championship Fighting Championship 5 is on Saturday. It is a pay-per-view. Go to bareknuckle.tv and check it out. Check out the website as we talk to Artem. Again, he's facing Jason Knight. So we got 2 former UFC featherweights that love to stand and throw bombs. And so I think they're perfectly suited for Bare Knuckle. Stay close. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation 156. Whether you're looking for an overall favorite or driver-to-driver matchups, the Vegas Stats and Information Network has the latest odds heading into Sunday's Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Go all in with Jeff Motley and NASCAR driver Brendan Gaughan tonight at 10 Eastern on Gone Racing, a weekly NASCAR gambling show on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. Reminder that our channel is now 156, so put that in your presets if you haven't already. And we're still known as Fight Nation, so it's Fight Nation Channel 156. All right, our next guest is Artem Lobov. He is going to be headlining, I should say, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships 5 in Biloxi, Mississippi. This is a pay-per-view. You got to get it. It's a nice way to spend the weekend with some bare knuckle, so a non-MMA weekend, no boxing, no MMA. And so what do? You get bare knuckle fighting on Saturday, WrestleMania on Sunday. So it's a nice 1-2 punch for you combat sports fans. Joining us now on the hotline is Artem Lobov. What's up, Artem? How you doing?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man, we're pumped to have you, and I'm really, really excited. Man, bare knuckle, about a year ago, I was like, well, I got to check this out. Let's see. But, man, I've been warming up slowly, and now I'm really, really into it, especially the way David Feldman is building the organization from the ground up. It's really exciting, and I'm telling you, Saturday night is a quality main event between you and Jason Knight. You both have some really, really fun skills, great skills, stand-up skills that I just want to see you guys compete.
Absolutely. I'm excited myself. It's going to be great. I wanted to try boxing for a long time, and this is even better. This is even better for me. The bare knuckle, how nice will it feel to, feel my knuckles on someone's jaw. Great.
Now, Artem, let me ask you this. A lot of guys have been saying, hey, it reminds me of just my youth. I used to get in some trouble. Were you one of those guys that's had his fair share of bare knuckle fights, Artem, as well? Like, street fights, I guess is what I'm asking? Or were you a little bit more tame in that department?
No, yeah, back when I was, in Russia, I used to get into quite a good bit of trouble. So yes, I've had my fair share of bare knuckle fights, but it's always different. Street fight is different from an actual fight. The preparation, that's the difference. Usually street fight happens quick, boom, and it just happens right there and then.
Right.
It's all like emotion, adrenaline fueled. Whereas this is a professional fight now. So expect fireworks, expect a technical display, and you guys are about to see something you've never seen before. I promise you that.
How much did you study the fine art of bare knuckle, the techniques? You want to protect your hands. You want to be efficient with your shots. You want to work the body. You want to make, certain strike. You want to make all your strikes count. You can't just give any away, and you can't get sloppy either with your technique, or you'll break your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of people actually don't realize this. They hear bare knuckle and they think, oh yeah, that's it. But actually, when you look into it a little bit closer, it's very technical. Like you said, it's very easy to break your hands, and it's just boxing. So if you break your hand, what are you going to do then for the rest of the fight? I mean, of course, if you're me, then you don't give a fuck if you break your hands. When you've got two hammers, I'll still be throwing them. This happened to me before. I broke my hands, and I remember even saying it to my coach, look, I broke my hand, and he's trying to, give me advice, okay, then just feint and throw the other hand. I'm like, no, mate. I'm just telling you this, just so you know, just making conversation here between rounds, but it ain't gonna affect me. I'm still gonna throw it like there's nothing wrong. I took fights before while training with a broken hand, so to me it's no problem. But as far as preparation goes, I took it very, very seriously. Ireland is a great place to learn boxing, and that's what I did. You want to be a good dancer, you got to dance a lot, and you want to be a good boxer, you got to box a lot. And I boxed the best of the best in Ireland. I went to all the best gyms, inspired the best guys. Some weeks I was doing 3-4 sparring sessions a week, so I'm more than ready for this.
See, this guy is my type of guy in terms of a combat sports athlete. He's taken fights while nursing a broken hand. Me, I'll open up an envelope, and if I cut myself, if I have a paper cut, I'm screaming like a little girl. Yeah. That's why I'm more of a lover than a fighter.
You're like Polymalinaja than you are.
All right, Goes, what do you have for Artem Lobov?
Artem, now, part of your preparation, is it even worth going and watching Jason Knight, his stand-up in his mixed martial arts fights at all, or is more of the focus just watching other bare-knuckle fights?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to kind of just have a little look how he moves around, but you're right, it's not much use. And I know this from myself because my style of boxing is very different to how I fight in MMA, because now I don't have to worry about takedowns, because I can close the distance. You know, for me, in MMA, it was always kind of hard to showcase my true stand-up potential because I have a pretty short reach, so I need to close the distance in order to strike. But then the moment I close the distance, I'm in the wrestling range, and then the takedowns are there. So I always was in in this weird situation. What do? I have to close quick and try and get out of there. Whereas now I don't have to worry about that. I just feel free, relaxed, nothing to worry about. Just walk up to Jason Knight, break his jaw, and go home.
You know, come fight night, I know a lot of fighters have different traditions or just ways that they like to approach fight night. Do you feel like that night will go any different for you as far as, like, are you going to want to pay more attention to the fights that are happening before you? Is it just kind of like mixed martial arts where you're focused on your warm-up? How will all that work for you? Have you figured that out yet?
To me, I'm just, when it comes the time to fight, that's like Christmas for me. I jump around. I'm so happy. I'm like, lovely. Finally, I get to fight. That was one of the issues I had, when I was in the UFC. I didn't get to fight as often as I would like. I remember before the UFC, someone calculated once, and they said I used to fight on average every 41 days. And I would have fought even more if there was more fights available. So to me now, I get to fight. I'm finally going back in there. I'm hoping to get this one done nice and quick. And I want to go again next weekend, you know what I mean? So to me, I approach it with joy and pleasure. That's how I approach the fight night.
Artem, I know that your focus is on Jason Knight, but are there going to be times when you're hitting him where you're not going to see Jason Knight's face? Maybe you'll see Paulie's face a couple times? I want to get through Jason first. You know what I mean? I want to make it nice and quick. Just a win is not enough for me here. I feel I want to put on an impressive performance because I am planning to move into boxing eventually. So Jason is my step towards Paulie, and then Paulie is my step towards professional boxing. That's my plan.
Now, can you brief us a little bit on the rules? We know that there can be some dirty boxing that is allowed, that we see a lot in MMA. But, for example, a spinning back fist won't work. That's against the rules, correct? Is there any other fine rules that you've been briefed about?
Yeah, you can actually use the clinch. You can have one hand on the back of their head, and you can fight your way out of the clinch that way. So that's also, you can have wrist control. You can control their wrists. That's another thing. But again, being an MMA fighter, all these things are not new to me, so I'm well used to that. So obviously, when I fight Jason, my advantage is that he was a grappler wrestler more than anything. Even mixed martial artists, I would say. He used to always mix it up, and that was his strength. Whereas I'm a striker, so I definitely have a huge advantage over him in that sense. And when I fight Paulie, my advantage will be the MMA clinch. He hasn't got a clue what to do in there, because he doesn't know how to control the wrist. He doesn't know how to fight off the back of his head, the hand of the back of his head. And even if he'll be training since now for that clinch, that's not enough. I've got 10+ years experience in that. There's no way in hell he can catch up with me in that short space of time.
So far, do you like what you've seen out of the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship organization? Are you glad with your decision? Is everything moving along the way you would want it with a new organization like these guys?
Of course. Well, guys, I'm scheduled to make more than what 90% of UFC fighters are making. So,
nice.
Of course I'm happy. I'm a prize fighter. The bigger my purse, the more successful I am.
Wow. Okay. That's really good to hear. And you signed a 3-fight contract, right?
Yeah, it's 3-fight contract, 15 months only. So that's going to be good, and the purses just get bigger and bigger. Plus, I get pay-per-view points as well. On top of that, plus I'm allowed to fight elsewhere if I want to. I mean, honestly, it's a dream come true contract for me. I'm very thankful to David Feldman and everyone at Bare Knuckle for that.
Mm-hmm. How many of your who came over with you from SBG? Like, who's in your corner for this fight?
Yeah, so here with me I have Richard Smolin, he's my training partner for a very, very long time, so he's here helping me with the weight cut and all of that. And then also I have my boxing coach with me, Dave Jones. He's been in my boxing coach in SBG when I first started there about 10 years ago. He was kind of more in the background, not many people heard of him, but he's a great coach, has a lot of experience, and he will be in my corner. But of course, John and Roddy, they are my coaches till the day I die. I owe a lot to these guys, and I never forget that. I'm SBG forever.
You did all your training camp in Ireland?
Oh yeah, I did it all in SBG. I did go to many boxing clubs for sparring, but I trained at Straight Bloods Gym Ireland.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, man, it's always great catching up with you. We want to wish you the best of luck on Saturday night versus Jason Knight. I want you guys to have a quality main event. May the best man win. And we're really, really pumped for this main event at Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. Thanks, Artem, for the time, as always.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
He makes it impossible not to like him, right?
I'm sold. I'm going to have a lot of fun on Saturday night with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Just the main event sold me. But I've always been a fan of Chris Lieben. Something about those Season 1 tough guys. Just have a soft spot in my heart for him. But look, I'm looking at the card. If I go to bareknuckle.tv and I look at the fight card, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fights that are lined up, including other MMA veterans like Isaac Valley Flag, Johnny Bedford, and Chase Sherman. Paulie Malignaggi, by the way, will be there in attendance, not just to probably face off versus the winner, but he's actually calling the fights as well. So this should be fun, and I got excited about something like this goes a few years ago when Meta Morris came on the scene. Not that I was never against submission grappling, because I had seen Abu Dhabi. You and I had been to a Gracie Invitational at UCLA. Remember that one?
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was Hickson's.
Yeah. Exactly. So we had been to a few of those, but MMA is just MMA. It's different. You know what I mean? And then when Meta Morris came out, and again, if you have recognizable names that are grappling along with some of the best, you get interested in it. Eddie Bravo as well. Polaris, I had a good time. And part of the thing that excites me is when I see organizations starting from the ground up. That's why I really liked going to Affliction. And when I saw, what was it, Megadeth?
Yeah, they did 1 year, and then the other year, who did the second one?
Well, whoever.
Yeah.
I just remember when I walked out of the arena, I go, that was pretty cool, because I wasn't really into Megadeth. But the fact that they had like a band in between this awesome card that they put together, it was just different. And I was rooting for them to do well, but of course we know they only did two shows, and that was that. But I always have a soft spot for organizations that are trying something new, and they go out there and they do their best, and that's kind of what I've seen out of Bare Knuckle. And I will be the first to raise my hand where I was like, Bare Knuckle, I don't know about that.
Yeah, just about
seems a little raw, and will it have an audience? And then I shut my pie hole immediately when I tuned in. I saw Beck going at it, and then Tony Lopez and Joey Beltran. I was like, oh man, like this is pretty primal stuff right here. But beneath all the cuts and the blood and all that, you could see that there's strategies. You know what I mean? And game plan. And,
look at UFC 1.
It will evolve.
Look at UFC 1 and the way people approach that. And even then, you could go maybe, I don't know, UFC 15. They're still kind of primitive in a lot of the stuff they were doing. I seriously think that fighters just have to kind of learn on the job with Bare Knuckle. But you're right. David Feldman's done like a really good job of being a little edgy but keeping it professional at the same time. From what I hear, fighters get treated well.
Here, right?
Yeah.
He was real pleasant.
The locations that they're going, like a lot of times when you get a new organization, they don't really leave their comfort zone for a while. He's already traveling to Mexico. He's doing a lot of stuff. So I appreciate him trying to do that and paying the fighters well. Fighters are getting paid on time. He's doing everything right.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing is still the whole he met Paulie here in our studio.
That was cool, huh?
That was a pretty slick move, you know.
There's been a couple of those,
he saw an opportunity there, and I'm in no way hating on that.
No,
but it was a pretty smooth move, and I remember him just kind of not being put off by Bare Knuckle, but it was a boxing weekend. He was pro boxing. You know how he feels about MMA, especially because when he thinks of MMA, he thinks of McGregor and his team. And so it was all just boxing, 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 and for him to just kind of open up a little bit, and at least accept a pitch from somebody. Hey, look, can we talk? And what would you think of this? What would you think of that? And then all of a sudden they sign him. I was like, oh, a little proud moment there.
You know, I said this yesterday, I think. Paulie's kind of like the same, like even when the mic goes off, he's still relatively the same guy. You know,
Yeah.
maybe he's not as loud, but his takes are the same. But the one time where I will say he does change a little bit is when he's broadcasting. He's edgy, but he's very professional. And the way he approaches his analysis, everything he says, it's really, really good. But I don't know how he's going to do in bare knuckle because now you have somebody in there that he just slapped. You know, like, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold back those emotions this time.
Right. Well, they did when the face-off.
Yeah.
So, you're right. As far as, like, not being, too one-sided.
Tough.
Well, remember, he's in a tough spot. He dislikes Artem more than Knight. I don't even know if he has any feelings towards Knight. But he probably wants Artem to win because it's just a bigger fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of them, look, I think both athletes are happy to receive the check. But I still think the athlete roots for the organization as well.
Yeah.
So they would want the event to be
check
big
to
for
keep
them
coming, right?
and for the promotion. So it'll be a tough spot. But I think Malianaji will be able to get it done.
How about Artem getting pay-per-view points?
I know. And 90% of more than what the UFC's making, says he's getting paid well. And honestly, to get Malianaji's attention as well, what are we missing here? Like, is Bare Knuckles killing it then at the pay-per-view or sponsorship or what? I mean, to already be paying those types of salaries where people are speaking that highly, that's very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got to take one more break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the news roundup in mixed martial arts. There's a great fight booking for a Bellator card that's coming up in New York involving Chael Sonnen. We'll tell you what the other half of the equation is. Combate Americas has a new investor, a very, very popular actress in the Latin world who's got a interesting tie to a big story from a few years ago involving Sean Penn and Chapo Guzman. And unfortunately, we also have a fighter that pulled out of a main event. So we'll talk about all that when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156. All right, what do you want to start with, Goes? The good news or the bad news?
I want the bad news.
Yoel Romero is out of UFC on ESPN 3 in the headline bout versus Jacare Souza due to illness.
Right, that sucks.
A lot of fighters fight through colds. This must be kind of more serious. They don't say what kind of illness. They don't say the severity. But, well, no, I'm sorry. It says it has been reported that Romero has pneumonia. Never mind. Okay, that's serious enough. So, Jacare Souza, what does he do? Because he was filling in for Paulo Costa. Costa was going to fight Romero. Costa fell off, and Souza filled in. But now what do you do? I had pitched a daily debate out there. I don't believe that's the one that got accepted. So you want to have a little bit of fun with it?
Sure.
Okay. The daily debate that I said was, if you could play matchmaker, who would you have fill in for Yoel Romero versus Jacare Souza on UFC ESPN 3? A, would you call Chris Weidman and say, hey, how'd you like your rematch?
Yeah.
Remember, Chris Weidman was doing well in that fight. B, Jack Hermanson just got a quick win over David Branch. Maybe he can capitalize and, you know, can continue climbing up the charts because Branch was a top 10 guy. Jacare is a top 5 guy. He came out of that pretty healthy, I imagine. That was quick, man. Or even David Branch, because remember when who was it? Brian Ortega beat Frankie Edgar, and then Frankie Edgar goes, I want to fight. 3 weeks later, he headlined New Jersey or something like that. Remember, it was a quick turnaround, and he beat Cub Swanson. Did I get that right, those names? It was just like last year.
What does that have to do with David Branch?
Well, David Branch, same thing. He lost, and so the first thing somebody wants to do when they lose is get that taste out of their mouth. He could fight maybe and say, hey, look, I just lost. I got a bad taste in my mouth. I'm ready to go because, again, he just fought, and he probably didn't get injured because he got submitted, so I don't think he got, you know, any serious injuries. That fight didn't go that long.
Yeah.
Or of course, I guess the other chase would be other if you have another name then.
I would say Jack Hermanson for sure would trump David Branch, right? If they both won.
Yeah, you would ask Hermanson first, yeah. But you could also save Hermanson and go, no, I want something different from him with a regular training camp. It ain't going to be bigger than Jacare, but at least you give him a proper camp.
Well, I kind of like Hermanson just because he actually got the win via submission, and then you pin him up against a submission specialist.
Oh.
I think you kind of sell it that way.
Yeah.
The greedy part of me would want to see Chris Weidman, but I think I'd like to see them do that again as
with
an official match with camps and all that. I think they kind of both deserve that.
I think Hermanson slips in, right?
Yeah, I think that would be, but I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
You know, like right away, instantly when I heard that, I kind of thought, man, maybe this is just one of those fights where you just shelve the whole thing. But the when I read your thing and I saw Hermanson, at first I thought you were crazy, and I thought about it. I go, what's so crazy about that? I mean, you just saw him, so the fans know who he is. It would be fun. I would be okay with that.
Okay. Well, that's the bad news out of the way. The good news, I guess, is
the following.
Chael Sonnen is booked to fight Lyoto Machida.
Okay. I don't know why.
Taking place in June 14, to be exact.
In Bellator.
Bellator, correct.
I never really thought of that matchup. You know, in times when you're looking at the roster and you're going, all right, what's next for this guy? What's next for that guy? It just never really crossed my mind. So when I read it this morning, I went, hey, I'm actually down for that. I think this will be fun.
Yeah, I'm down for it too.
It's a good matchup.
It takes place at light heavyweight. Machida's coming back to 205. Sonnen has been at 205 for a while. Hell, he just fought in the heavyweight Grand Prix. So neither guy will have to do much of a cut. I say it like it's easy, but it won't be the 185 that they used to do. Remember, this is 20-pound disparity between light heavyweight and middleweight. So they catch a break there. And it's two big names who just have not fought each other.
There's not going to be that heat that Chael Sonnen usually brings to a fight because Lyoto's pretty respectful. But there is the Brazil angle. And
True.
You know, Chael Sonnen's taken it to Brazil for a long time, so I could see Lyoto maybe taking that angle of I'm going to defend Brazil, that sort of thing. But I just think matchup-wise it'll be fun.
All right, and here's a little more news. Combate Americas, they've raised $20 million. Actress Kate Del Castillo is a significant shareholder. She went to a card, got excited about what she was seeing, and I guess they showed her the financials and said, hey, look, we're killing it, man, on the Spanish broadcast. We got something going on with digital platform in English as well. And she was into it. She told Variety that she was convinced to sign on after with Combate Americas after attending the live event, and she's going to chair a new advisory board to give more opportunities to female MMA athletes. So pretty cool to see a big star from Latin America involved. I mean, any star, I guess. When I see that they have an interest in our sport, I'm pumped. Like I like seeing a lot of the stars in attendance at the UFCs.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with her. However, when they brought up the angle of the role she played with Chapo and Sean Penn, I remember all that. But if anybody, or if you can do it, George, can maybe just say she's the equivalent of blank in our entertainment world. Was she like the J-Lo of that world, or actress-wise?
Well, she's mostly, I think, because I don't know too much either, but she mostly has done, I guess, like novellas and movies. So, yeah, on what level? I would put her on the level of...
She had Jennifer Aniston. She did TV and movies, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Probably
so
like
it's a pretty big name.
So her controversy is, yes, she set up a meeting between Sean Penn and Chapo Guzman years ago. Problem is, the United States authorities, like DEA or whoever it was that was chasing them down, or always tracking Chapo, I guess came across this info, and some of that info helped eventually track down Chapo months later. I think both kind of feared for their life a little bit, even though Chapo had kind of become smitten with Del Castillo, the fact that she was a fan of his and vice versa. But now, as you know, 2 years later, wherever we're at here, he's now in New York, and he's been in a long court battle, an ongoing court battle. So I think that's just the least of his problems.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say. But goes real quick because we got to go to a top of the hour break. Who was the actress from South Africa? Maybe Andre may know this.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, she's got an
You
interest.
want me on your trivia team?
She wants. She's a huge MMA fan. So when I heard that she was, I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And you've been seeing as of late, Halle Berry, same thing, know. So she's kind of like a little bit of the Hispanic version. All right, it's the top of the hour break. We'll be back in 60 seconds. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156.
Now, feel their wrath.
All right, we're back. Still got an hour to go in the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Participate by calling in at 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. The good news is right now there's nobody on the phone banks, so if you call in, you can get in quickly. Give us your opinion on anything that's happening in the sport of mixed martial arts. You can look back to last week's fights in Philly, or the Bellator fights in Temecula, or one championship fights in Tokyo, Japan, or start looking forward to Atlanta. UFC 236 takes place on April 13th. That's a week from Saturday. Of course, Bare Knuckle on this Saturday. WrestleMania on Sunday. And even though we are an MMA show, we really tend to drift off and talk about all the different combat sports that are out there. Hell, we talk about all the different sports that are out there. So, again, call in.
You going to watch it, WrestleMania?
I think so. You?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think so, too. Well,
Royal Rumble sold me a little bit into that storyline that led to the ladies. And
They're the last match this year, guys.
Yeah,
That'll
the
be
main
the
event.
main event.
Yeah.
Is that your cup of tea, Andre? Do you watch all of it, or do you just kind of tune in here and there?
I'll be at MetLife Stadium this Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You got a sign?
I don't know if I should bring a sign or whatnot. I'll be too busy like eating away, drinking away, and jumping up and down. So probably gonna lose the sign midway through WrestleMania.
Okay. All right, cool, man. Well, have
Where's your
fun.
seat?
Enjoy out there. Are you doing the whole thing like Hall of Fame and shit?
Nah, there's too many things going on here that you can't really like do the full straight of like WWE events. So it's like even Saturday, like you got Madison Square Garden holding an event that's not WWE, and yeah, it's a really intense weekend in the world of wrestling in this area.
I would want to go to a Hall of Fame, honestly.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd go to a Hall of Fame for any sport, pretty much. I mean, of the major sports, right? But
is it on a bucket list to do an NFL?
More so to do the draft, and it's coming here to Vegas.
Coming to Vegas, yeah, but that doesn't
the
count,
draft
does
is
it?
so good, guys.
Going to.
You've been to it, Andre?
Yes, sir. Radio City Music Hall 2012.
Impressive.
Huh.
This is one of the easier ones if you ever wanted to travel and do it. What I'm saying is, of course, the one in Vegas sounds like fun, but is it
not
really
the
a
same.
bucket list? You didn't travel to. I think when you put it on your bucket list, you thought, okay, one day I want to be at Radio City Music Hall in New York and go to the thing.
I don't like you for this reason.
Squashing your dreams?
A little bit, but I kind of agree with you only because I just finished telling our friend Tim, do you really feel like you're
His
going
name's
to
Andre.
No, Tim, the guy that March Madness.
Oh.
That do you really feel like you're going to a World Cup if you go to it here in the United States? It
That's
just
true.
doesn't have that flavor, right?
It's
Come
true.
on, guys. World Cup's a World Cup.
No, man, not
No,
here. Here you
yeah,
got
it's not what we grew up
you
watching.
got little kids and they're on their phone, they're playing Pokemon. Man, you go to another country, every eyeball is on every second of that game. They're taking it in. There's flags. There's fireworks being thrown everywhere. It's intense,
Vuvuzelas.
dude.
Don't forget about those vuvuzelas.
Yeah,
That was in South Africa.
Mm.
Yeah, those things got on a lot of people's nerves. They didn't like it at first. I liked it
I
because
thought it was funny.
I love the soccer culture, so I didn't have a problem with
So-
it. I know a lot of people were like, I am going to stab somebody if I ever see them play a Vuvuzela.
But what if it moves around a lot? I mean, yeah, I went to it in Vegas, but
You know what?
I
Honestly,
would love to have done it back
I want to
east.
do another one, but I just don't want to go to Qatar. I blew it by not going to Russia.
Oh, World Cup?
Yeah, I want to go to a country that I've always wanted to go to, and just Qatar's not at the top of the list. Russia wasn't really at the top of the list, but looking back, everyone had a great time in Russia, and it looks like I blew it on that one. But I don't know what's coming up. I guess Qatar's in 2022, the U.S. and with Canada and Mexico in 2026, and then after that, you got to believe England's due, man. They haven't had it since '66, and that's like the biggest country in terms of like how much they love soccer, you know what I mean, and haven't had a World Cup like the longest.
But you've
I
been,
didn't say
you've been
it
there,
but
right?
I have, but a World Cup would be pretty special there because there's a lot of cities that I like there. I would revisit it.
Are you surprised that Andre hasn't said, I've been to a World Cup?
Yeah, have you, Andre, been to a World Cup too?
No, that one I haven't.
What about Final Four, Super Bowl, NBA championship? Have you done any of that?
Oh, I haven't done any of those either.
World
so
Series?
WrestleMania is like legit the first ever big event that I'm going to. And it's weird that I haven't gone to a World Series because, like, as a Yankees fan, it's like, you know, we always have something happening here, but
That's how we feel about the
haven't been.
Lakers.
Have the Yankees been in a lot of World Series lately?
Last time they were in the World Series was 2010. So it's been a
Oh
little bit of a
boy,
while,
yeah.
but
It's weird that you haven't been to a World Series being a Yankees fan. What's so weird about it? They haven't been in it in a decade.
It's not yet a decade. Don't
Came
jinx
close.
it.
He was acting like they've been in 4 of the last 5. Okay.
Like I was
Alright.
born in the 90s, man. So I've seen Yankees like dominate.
You were born in the 90s?
Yes, sir.
I had an Uber driver today that was playing all 90s music, and I told him about you and how you feel like the 90s don't really have too much flavor.
Uh-huh.
I was born in 78, so I grew up listening to 80s music, and I love it. And I think it's awesome, and I do think it's at the top. But I will say, you got to watch for that left hook of the 90s. They have some stuff, some pretty good stuff.
Well,
I don't think it can ever hit that.
I was born in 69, and the 70s were the bomb.
70s were
But the
good.
70s, like, if I heard a song, we'll pick 1976, all right? That means I was 7. how am I going to afford an album? That's what we had back then, an album. I had to hope that mom and dad, I could talk them into getting an album. You know what I mean? We weren't a rich family by any means or whatever. So basically, you just sat around and hoped that if they played a cool song, you listened to it on the radio.
We were poor.
No, I know, but when we got into the 80s, okay, so let's say they buy it, cool. Hey, now I not like another song. They're not going to run off and buy that one too. When I was in the 80s, now I was a teenager who had a job, and if I heard 10 80s songs that I liked, I could go out and buy them myself, and still ask mom and dad if I was in between checks.
But there's MTV,
so that's why I'm more of a little of an 80s guy. Yeah, plus that as well. But make no mistake, the 70s were awesome, and the 80s were pretty money as well. The 90s, I guess I just didn't soak it up as much because now I'm 21-year-old George, and I'm just chasing tail. Now I got money to go to games, and I'm not worried about, hey, who's number one in Casey Kasem's countdown? I didn't give a fuck about that. You know what I mean? I was just like, hey, when's the happy hour? Is Sally going? Is this girl going? You know, or whatever. That's what I was more concerned about, was just hanging out with my friends, partying, or whatever. Whereas when you're like a teenager, you're waiting to turn 21, or you're waiting to go out there and party. So you sit at home on Saturday night and you watch, you know, a video show or MTV or whatever you're saying. And yeah.
Andre, your era has been garbage.
Yeah, the music-wise, it's not as
The
good as the
2000s?
70s or 80s.
Early 2000s
Like, some of the
weren't too
90s are
bad.
still good.
People are,
I don't know what's going on. I honestly, I swear, I don't think I'm being the old man in the way I'm saying it. The same way our parents said, "What the hell are you listening to?" Like, I really want to like it, but there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, what is going on? This is not
and
good.
by the way, Andre, it was 2009, not 2010, so we've already hit a decade. How is it that the Yankees...
2009, they lost at 2010.
They weren't in it in 2010. It was the Giants beating the Rangers, followed by the Cardinals beating the Rangers, then the Giants beating the Tigers, then the Red Sox beating the Cardinals, then the Giants beating the Royals, then the Royals beating the Mets, the Cubs beat the Indians, the Astros beat the Dodgers, the Red Sox beat the Dodgers. Where did you hear me say the Yankees at all?
I stand corrected.
Yeah. See, it's been a decade. And how is that? Because the Yankees have, like, the highest payroll.
Well, they've come close. You know,
Yeah,
like they're
always
just,
come close. So close, but no cigar.
And then prior to that,
you guys could have had the Astros.
it had been a decade since they had won their other one, although they did go to the finals, the World Series against the Marlins. So the Yankees aren't on an impressive run right now. They got one title in the last 20 years. When you have that kind of payroll, you need to represent better. And get this, their long-time heated rival, the Red Sox, have 4. Remember, they could say, oh, my God, you haven't won it since Babe Ruth, 1920s. And the Red Sox have won 4 of them since they've only won – well, they've won 1.
I mean, Boston in general, they've been unstoppable.
That's got to sting if you're a Yankee fan. It's just got to sting.
In the last 20 years? Yeah. Oh, my God, dude. They've been killing it.
Well, anyway, back to Bare Knuckle on Saturday, WrestleMania on Sunday. I am going to get both. I'll be tweeting my ass off, having a good time. So if you are as well, hit me up. Include me in your tweets if you're going to be watching both events, and let's all have some fun. BareKnuckle.tv is where you can get that pay-per-view. It's $29.99. I'm telling you, that website's really detailed. It says, if you're a Bell subscriber, do this. If you're a DirecTV subscriber, do this. If you're a on-demand or Dish, it gives you all the instructions. You have to be a major fuck-up not to be able to order the pay-per-view that night. Or you just don't have cable. You haven't realized it yet. They disconnected you. But for the most part, they make it really, really easy for you. Again, that headline bout is Jason Knight versus Artem Lobov.
Do you know anything outside of the main event that's happening at WrestleMania?
Outside the main event, yes.
Oh, was that for Andre or for me?
For Andre.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Batista Triple H. That's a long-time rivalry that's been heating up since 2005, and now they finally resurfaced it.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan against Kofi Kingston. So Kofi's been in WWE for more than 10 years.
Let me ask you something. Let me stop you real quick.
Sure thing.
Daniel Bryan, his matchup at the Royal Rumble, it was bad, right?
Yeah. It was cringy.
I mean, it wasn't... I don't know. I've seen him wrestle better than that. Just the match was kind of like slow. It slowed everything down. Are you
Well,
excited?
yeah, that's Daniel Bryan being a heel. That's his style now. He not only changed his character, but changed his style too.
Is that to avoid concussions and stuff?
Slightly. Like, everything that he does is always to avoid concussions. So there are, like, some big moves where he has to, like, fall down and hit. He usually hits around the neck or the head. Like, they usually avoid that, so he finds a way to, like, kind of twist his body right so it lands on his arm or back or somewhere else. So it's a really, really smart moveset that Daniel Bryan's got.
And who else is on that?
Kofi Kingston will be his opponent. So he's been in the WWE for close to 11 years now, and this is like his first time right at the spotlight, right at the main event level kind of deal.
Kofi Kingston?
Kofi Kingston.
Kofi Kingston.
Who's that
yes.
joker?
You saw him at the Royal Rumble.
I did?
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
so did you know that report? Well, not report, but last week tonight, the John Oliver thing, when they were talking about concussions, and then it was mostly directed towards WWE. Did that have any effect on anything that's going on?
No, WWE continued as normal. Like, no one, I'm not even sure if anyone watched it. Like, I see it all over social media. I watch it myself. I have friends from college messaging me, like, dude, did you see this on John Oliver? And I was like, yeah, I did. But, yeah, watching Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live directly after that last week tonight, nothing.
Was
There
it
is
more
no difference at
concussion
all.
related, or was it more independent contractor related?
A little bit of everything, though.
They tried they tried, like, mixing both.
Yeah.
Where basically, like, the angle John Oliver tried doing was to say, hey, WWE, you're not taking care of your superstars correctly. Then, you know, they're throwing both.
Because concussions has been addressed by the WWE years ago. That's why you don't see those chair shots.
Yeah, but independent contractor, it's still the same deal. Like, with the concussions, of course, it's negotiable.
Well,
like,
I want to give a shout out to Bully Ray, Mark Henry, and Dave LaGreca, of course, the host. Congrats. Early congrats on your guys' 10 years. 10 years on SiriusXM as Busted Open. It's an organic show born on SiriusXM, and they will be hitting the 10-year mark next week. But I was listening to them this week to them react to it, and Mark Henry was saying most wrestlers that you talk to are very happy with their status in WWE. He goes, a far majority are happy with their status in WWE, are proud to be WWE members, and also he has strong feelings for Vince McMahon, and he says of the people he knows, a lot are in the same line of thinking like him. So nobody's really walking around the locker room thinking, yeah, take that, go get him, John Oliver. At least that's what I got from it. It was a 20-minute ride.
That's interesting.
From here home or back or home here, and I was catching some of that, and I stopped and pulled over and listened to a little bit of extra of it, but that's basically the gist of it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. That was it. Now, all right, here's the lineup goes. I do want to finish something you started because I think people should know. I'm going to go through the whole card, all right, and then you just tell me, you and Andre tell me your level of interest. All right, here we go. The Revival versus Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship.
I'll keep it real. I don't know any of those guys.
I've heard of Zack Ryder, but I don't know the other guys. The Revival is
a fun match to watch.
Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. This is fight number 16, or match number 16. Match number 15 is the Usos. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso versus Ricochet and Aleister Black versus The Bar, which is Cesaro and Sheamus, versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. This is a fatal four-way tag team match for the WWE SmackDown Tag Championship. That actually sounds pretty interesting, but
yeah,
do you know a lot of those things?
I would say half of them I know.
Sheamus for sure, right?
Yeah, and then cut that in half with I've heard the name, but I've just never seen them wrestle.
Then there's the How about you, Andre?
That match will be a really, really good. I'll give like a 4 out of 5 stars for it because you got Shinsuke Nakamura there, who's a beast.
Yeah, he
like,
sure is.
Biggest
I've seen
name
him on
from Japan.
New Japan. Yeah. WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, a battle royal for women for WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal trophy. Sounds interesting. That sounds like it's gonna take a while. This is gonna be a long day of matches. Our night wasn't that long, was it?
It was pretty long.
Was it? All right. Then you get. Well, that's true. It's
We
2
missed
Royal
some of
Rumbles.
The dark matches too.
Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston singles match for the WWE Championship. That's a 13 match from the top. For the WWE Championship?
They
What
could
the
that
fuck?
first match. They could fly home and catch the rest of the card at home, right?
The next one is a Boston Hug connection. Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Beth Phoenix and Natalia versus the Iconics, which is Billy Ray and Peyton Royce versus Nia Jax and Tamina. Fatal 4-way tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship.
I saw Bayley win
What
her
the fuck?
championship over Charlotte Flair.
Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre is just a singles match. Everybody will be happy to have Roman Reigns back. Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor, singles match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio, singles match for the WWE United States Championship. Why do they have that, the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship? It's bad enough
The
that Raw
Intercontinental
and
was
Smack
cool.
All right,
are
there's a funny
divided
story behind it.
between two, but like, what's the real? Like, do you really grab that belt and go, "Yes, I always wanted to be the United States champion"? Fuck
It's
no!
the-
You want to
it's
be
the
the
working
Raw
your way
champ
up.
or the SmackDown
The
champ?
Intercontinental was cool.
It was when it was just
you don't need the U.S.
when it was just the world title and the Intercontinental title. Fine.
All right, what's the
Yeah, but
story?
you got two brands now. You've got a Monday Night Raw and you got a SmackDown Live. So you need like a mid-card champ there before you go to the main event status.
Okay, so that's for one of the. It's only for either Raw or SmackDown. Which one
I
uses
still
Intercontinental?
don't. I don't look at it that
only on
way.
Raw.
I look at it as just one
okay.
company. It's WWE. I know they split it into two promotions, but I just look at it as some guys fight on this night and some guys fight on that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. And they really do jump back and forth or whatever, but all right, that's what they're doing. Then we got the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It's a Battle Royal for Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy. All right, okay. The description is the same as the title. I don't know who's in it, but good luck to all the participants. Now we're down to 7 matches left. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, singles match. All right, cool.
Okay.
Shane McMahon versus The Miz, Falls Count Anywhere match.
Oh, nice.
I'm down because I'm down with Shane McMahon. He cracks me
crazy.
up.
Oh, this got really personal, guys. Like,
Did it?
Like to the
For
point
real
that Shane-
personal or script personal?
For real.
Oh,
like
okay.
Shane beat up Mrs. Dad.
For real or in the script?
For real.
Really? Why would he do that?
Because his dad was in the audience and Shane just saw him, just started beating him up.
But again,
Just
he
against-
really for real beat him up or was part of the script?
Part of the script, of course.
Oh, okay.
Just hype it up and say, for real.
I know, but I'm trying to find out because I see. I love
Ronda
the guys on
blurred the
Busted
line a
Open.
little bit, right?
Well, her, but I think the internet blurred the lines, and it was so much better. Andre, you'll never know because you just aren't my age. But literally, we didn't know this. A lot of this shit that you get to know, and so in my opinion, the internet kind of ruined a little bit of
We had to
a
get
lot of these stories.
The magazine, remember that would tell
PWI.
you who fought where?
PWI.
Exactly.
Dude, that was the worst because you would see the match ended the same way, city after city after city.
Exactly.
But every once in a while, one guy would lose a title one night, and then he just win it back the next night.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. You felt like you saw something pretty cool. Not that you shared the same fucking card with Atlanta the night before, Phoenix 2 nights before that, Baltimore the weekend before. You know what I mean? Too much was uncovered. We got to see too much behind the curtain. You know, behind the Wizards curtain. But anyway, I don't know where I was headed with this, but the reason I ask is because the one thing I don't understand, and I guess this is how Dave is wired. Dave and Mark and Bully actually talk like, man, you just got. This is a question I want to ask them because they'll say it's all about rising to the occasion and being the best on WrestleMania to see if you will win. And I'm thinking to myself, is it? Don't they already know who's gonna win? Like, do you really have to rise to the occasion?
Well, remember Hulk
what I'd
didn't
like
know
to
if he was gonna beat Andre or not.
What I'd like to know is if the ladies didn't know who was gonna win and they went out there and wrestled, and then at some point Vince is in the back and he whispers to Michael Cole, who's calling the fights, and he goes, "Tell Charlotte she needs to go down." Michael Cole signals the ref. The ref tells Charlotte, "Charlotte, you have to go down." And then she probably says to herself, "Damn," you know, she can't show that, but she goes, "Damn." That means Vince is more pleased with Becky and Ronda, and then they continue. Now, if I was to be told that would be pretty cool. But if they sat in the back and they go, "All right, listen, 3 ladies, this is what we're going to do for 15 minutes. We're going to do this bullshit, 30 minutes. One of you's going to go," and they already know that going in, then I don't know. And so then for me, when I listen to Busted Open, I love hearing the show and just had them breaking it down. But when I catch them thinking like, do you think she'll rise to the occasion or whatever? Dude, you could wake up with a hangover, have the biggest migraine on earth, but if you already know you're going to win, you just got to go through the motions for 30 minutes and know your hand will be raised. That's a little different for me.
I don't see why they couldn't do that. What you're saying is on the fly.
That would be cool.
That would,
because then you're rewarding the hardest worker that night.
Yeah.
But see, do you remember the one?
What if they disagree and they don't go with your plan?
Screwjob in Montreal. Remember that one? It looked like in the back they were talking about how they were gonna decide that match or whatever. Now that wasn't a WrestleMania, but it was a big night. So to me, it led me to believe that that's kind of already previously discussed, and this is just the way it's working. So who knows? Maybe these big four like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and what's the other one? What's the other big one?
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series.
Maybe those are a little bit different. I don't know. I'd love to have that in-depth conversation with those gentlemen. In fact, maybe we can get Dave on tomorrow's show or something like that. I don't know. I'd love to ask him these questions. All right. Oh, he'll be too busy. They're celebrating. They're partying. So
10-year anniversary this weekend, this Saturday.
Where's that at for pro wrestling?
It's going to be at Habanero Blues over here in New York City, just about 5 minutes walk from Madison Square Garden.
Are you going?
Yes, I'll be going right after the live show. So from 2 to 4 p.m. East, they'll be broadcasting live, like the 10-year anniversary. So the whole Busted Open Nation can listen to it. And for those who are in the area for WrestleMania week, you can just go walk in right at Habanero Blues and just have fun.
Cool. All right. I'll finish this out right here. So I said AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Shane McMahon versus, I said that. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. I like that Baron Corbin guy. He seems like a troublemaker, and I've always been a fan of heels. But he seems like he's involved in a lot of storylines.
Okay.
So, and this is the farewell match for
voice that
Angle.
said you're cool with it.
Oh, really? A lot of people don't like Corbin?
You are the only one that says, yeah, I'm cool with that Baron Corbin.
Oh, yeah, I'm down with him. Like,
you just made him
if
a
I win,
bigger fan.
that will be my sign then, is I'm down with Baron or whatever. Singles match, Angle's farewell match. He'll probably lose, right? Or you think they'll send him off a winner?
Maybe.
Okay.
Who's
Triple H versus Batista. Andre talked about that, but he said if Triple H loses, he must retire from in-ring competition.
Yes.
Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese. Who the hell are they?
You made that up.
Tony Nese.
Oh, yeah?
They're cruiserweight, so that's a whole different division outside of like Raw and SmackDown, and they got their main title match there. That's all I can really say about it.
Okay, that will take place on the pre-show. That one,
yes.
The Battle Royal, and the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, those take place on the pre-show. So even though they're listed as 3, they're not the third match on top. But here it says Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch is the main event, and then the co-main event, and the Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins is the main event. But I heard on the show, Busted Open, that it's the other way around. It's Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch. So this is wrong right here. But congrats to those 3 ladies, and they have really, really built something up pretty special. That round robin between the 3, And Charlotte Flair, look, I don't want to take anything away from her. It helps to be Ric Flair's daughter, but I mean, as an in-ring performer, she's amazing. And Ronda Rousey is just a combat sports legend. But that Becky Lynch, I think, took the long road, the hard road, and she is so over with the fans that it's pretty amazing because Ronda Rousey, again, is a legendary combat sports athlete. So you would think she's just uber popular. And Charlotte Flair, I mean, come on. Woo! She's got that going for her. She's got her dad going for her. Too. And for this other lady to still be that over despite that she has to go against these other 2, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want the good news or the bad news?
Oh boy. The bad news.
The bad news is I got a message from Michael Chevelle that started off with, "It is what it is," and then him laughing his ass off.
Okay.
I didn't like that part. The good news is he says, "Bro, please give your brother a hug for me. Love and miss you guys."
Nice. All right, cool. Tell him I said hello. And I got to be honest, I miss him too. He used to come in here maybe twice a year, and we would just have some awesome shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we also got to hang out with him a few times and do the trivia nights.
Trivia night.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. All right, I think it's break time right now. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. We will be right back. Do not touch that dial.
Get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Andre, you're so lucky that Dracula didn't say we're so fat we give him diabetes. I'm on the verge of slapping Dracula if he says that one more time. The other day he said it like 3 times in one show. Dracula's gonna get it. I know that song. That's Triple H.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You missed Triple H's walkout, George.
Did I?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The song we came back to.
We're back?
Yeah.
I wasn't out there that long.
We're back.
Nah, you guys are joking.
Look.
Oh, shit. Okay, we're back. Sorry. I literally just went out there because my buddy Big Ralph is out there. Dude, this is a 6-minute break, isn't it?
No.
Oh, man. No wonder.
The next
okay.
one is. Yeah, the next one's the long one.
All right. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to put Andre on blast. Hold on a second.
I just did.
Did you?
Yeah.
About what?
Yeah.
About Dracula calling us fat and like 3 times a night. You gotta chill out on that. There's like, aren't there like 60 or 70 ways to come back from break? And every night Dracula's calling us a fat boy. You got Ralph walking right in front of the camera like he doesn't give a fuck.
So that right there is what people are watching back home, and you just come in like Bigfoot, walking right through the. Do you want a drink, Goes?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Goes is good. Why not? A burger, cheeseburger, something, bacon well done. I don't know. Yeah, because I don't want to have this drink without something in my stomach, and I'm gonna go to the game. It looks like. Okay, listen. Andre. Why was I gonna put him on blast? What were we just talking about?
WrestleMania?
No.
The Yankees?
Oh, okay. What does it say right here? It goes, Hour 2, Segment 1, Guest blank. We won't say his name because he didn't show. Then the Daily Debate was going to come up next, right?
Yeah.
The Daily Debate was going to come back after what?
The long break?
Long break.
Yeah. So when I went out there, I have a really good clock in my head. I know what 6 minutes is. I have a good clock in my head.
When do you use it?
Dude, you know when Gabby goes, 60 seconds.
Oh, okay.
10,
in regard to
9,
okay.
8. I know all that.
Yeah.
I stare at the clock
Not every
constantly.
time.
Rarely. It's literally been years since I went over. It's literally been years.
Continue.
There's times where I walk in here, I know how much time I have to put my keys down or do this or do the whatever because I can hear Bert's voice. I'm well aware of that. So when I walked out that door, I walked out with a casual strut because I knew I had 6 minutes. I said, hey, what's up, Ralph? I gave him the charger. He needed a charger. I charged my phone. I was answering a couple of Natalie's questions. But I knew in my head, oh, we still got time. And then you did what you normally do, and that's the worst game of charades.
How could you not get me pointing at the mic?
If you're watching the camera, this is what Goes says to me.
I point at his
That could
chair,
be like a million things.
And I'm pointing down. Like, what do you think I'm saying? We got rats? Like, obviously it means your ass needs to be here.
Right, but I'm thinking we have a 6-minute break. So I'm thinking, oh, whatever he's saying, yeah, I'll get to it. So I knew when we came in here, I figured we still have like 2 minutes, and you could just tell me what it was. Now, if you had told me, like, get your ass in here, then I would have known, oh, it's important. But you did your normal, like.
Because I kind of figured you knew.
Yeah. Anyway, you don't want Goes on third base, and if you're up to
what do I have to do with this?
If you're up to bat, you'll be like, oh my God, am I supposed to bunt or go for?
Andre's sitting back right now going, excellent, go after Goes.
Yeah, well, Andre, he's the one that goofed the whole thing up because it was supposed to be a long break. All right, let's do some calls. Let's do some calls, and then we'll do the Daily Debate. All right, who do we have?
All right, first on up right now, we got Hal in Chicago.
All right, what's up, Hal? How you doing?
All right, guys, this is Busted Open.
Yes.
Did we go too long with the wrestling?
Yeah, after about 7 seconds.
Oh, well, you're a pro wrestling fan? See, that's just you hating, I think. I mean, there's something to pro wrestling, man. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as nutty as it is. You have to just see, Hal, you're an intelligent person. You're not a dum-dum, all right? You have to respect the fact that there's something in that equation of pro wrestling that a lot of people gravitate to. Because I haven't been to a show in a long time, but I'm telling you, when I went to Phoenix about a month and a half ago, and I saw old, young, white, black, Latino, nerdy, cool, well-dressed, horribly dressed, A lot of people stunk and didn't take a shower. That's for sure. But I'm telling you, like I said, we were there with John Moraga, the UFC fighter. He was telling me, he was a fan. He was there with his son. It was really, really a fun night. I think
fun.
you could, if you took your kids, Hal, you would have a good time. And I still think there's a value of entertainment there.
I've done it. I have done it because I have kids. That's the only reason I know.
Well, then why after 7 seconds did you have enough of the WrestleMania talk? That sounds to me more like someone that just le vale madres or something like that.
Look, you just described, a lot of different people. Some of them stunk. You got nerds, you got fools. You also described the DMV, and I don't want to go there either. You know what I mean?
Okay. Fair enough. Everybody can be a fan. I get it.
You're talking about bucket list stuff. And hey, if you watch Netflix, then it's theater. So I respect it as theater. But anyway, you guys are talking about bucket list. You got to go to see Juventus in Turin, right? That's got to be up there, huh?
I mean, I think if you're a Juventus fan, yeah.
Yeah. This isn't the Blake and Goes show. I mean, this is I don't really. I mean, look, if I'm in Italy and I'm there for 2 weeks and 3 days in Juventus, I'll find a way to get to a game if they're playing at home.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm only there for like a week, I don't know that I'm getting to it.
Yeah. Like Man U plays Juventus in like a quarterfinal for Champions League.
That'd be cool.
That's gonna be insane.
That'd be cool. Yeah, and I love road tripping. To be honest with you, I really love road tripping more than than going to. I mean, I've been to enough home games of every team that I root for that I'm just satisfied. But road tripping is fun.
Yeah. Hey, look. So the fight was announced for UFC Chicago. Very excited. Cejudo going up to fight Moraes, man, and I'm telling you, this is. I know people are going to say easy fight for Cejudo. He's going to take him down, but at that weight, Moraes, that guy's a killer, man. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm leaning Cejudo, but that's not a gimme. You know what I mean? So I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah, some of you guys.
Have you made your official pick though?
My official pick is pending. It's pending. I'm a professional. I gotta break it down.
All right.
So, yeah, I'll let you know. All right, later.
All right, later, homie. Here's some information regarding UFC 238 in Chicago, which takes place on June 8th. And we say it every year. We got to get to a Chicago show, right, guys?
I just want to get to Chicago. I've never been.
A major city, and there's a fun group of junkies there that just go out there and have a blast. Aljamain Sterling and Pedro Munoz are rumored for UFC 238 in Chicago, as is Jimmy Rivera versus Peter Yan. So that right there is 5 badass bantamweights.
Wow.
If you throw in Marlon Moraes and then a badass flyweight who's going to compete for the bantamweight title in Henry Cejudo. And by the way, Henry Cejudo does have a history at bantamweight, from some of them from missed weight cuts, but there are times that he just fought as a bantamweight. So I'm definitely not trying to disrespect that gentleman. Oh, look at this. So that was according to Ariel Helwani. I want to give him his credit from ESPN. A Jacare Souza Jack Hermanson fight had been proposed for 427, according to sources. All parties haven't agreed to terms, so it's not close to being done yet. So it seems like the UFC's on our wavelength there.
Mm-hmm.
And then so now that I went back to Ariel's page just to make sure that I had those bookings right. Let me throw another one out there that he's rumoring. The UFC wants to book Michael Chiesa versus Diego Sanchez, UFC 239, on July 6th in Las Vegas, according to sources.
I'm not feeling that one too much.
No?
No. Can you name somebody else who took Jacare on short notice? Someone you know pretty well?
Oh, Bristol Morendi?
Yeah.
Solomon Grundy?
And he gave him a good fight.
Yeah. Hey, isn't their show debuting tonight?
Yeah.
The new season or
Thursday night. I don't know if it's a new, like a premiere or anything, but I know it's tonight.
MMA fighter. Do we call him former? Is he retired? No, right? What did he say?
I don't think he's retired yet.
So MMA fighter Bristol Morendi out of Extreme Couture. He does a flip or flop. He's got a flip or flop franchise here in Las Vegas with his wife, Aubrey. I got that right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is like season 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And it's on help me out here, Home Channel. What's it called? True Network?
HGTV?
HGTV.
Is it that one?
Yeah. I just don't have the stuff in front of me yet. I happen to hear my mom talking about it because she's huge fans of both of them. She's huge fans of just the the show in general. But all right, let's talk to Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Not much in you.
I know nothing. I'm like hell. I thought it was busted open, man. I was like, damn, is this Booger Eater Central?
Oh man,
damn.
Are you going to Bare Knuckle, by the way? Did you decide?
No. That's what I'm giving you guys a call. Got to change the freaking plans, man. I am actually gonna be in Vegas Sunday, man. So, where you guys watching this kitty wrestling at? Where are y'all doing it at home, at the studio? Where y'all gonna be at?
You want me to let me get in contact with Bristol Monday and see if there's room for one more, because you be flipping and flopping all the time, man. Why can't you make up your mind? Go to Bare Knuckle. Bare Knuckle's dope.
He probably got a load. How much is it? Hey, can you tell us what's a load worth?
It just depends. Depends on how bad they want it.
Well, give me like give me a high and a low.
Well, this particular one right here, they need it bad. So
you are talking about truck driving, right?
Yes, we are talking about.
Okay.
So look, if he's at home and he was thinking of going to Biloxi, Mississippi, but somebody tells him, "Hey, we got a load. You got to go to Vegas, and it's worth $20,000." That's why I was trying to get him to divulge numbers, but he was a vault. He wouldn't give us anything. But let's say it's worth $20,000. Wouldn't you shift your schedule around and go, instead of going to Biloxi, Mississippi, to Bare Knuckle, go to Vegas and deliver that load?
Yeah, I guess.
That's what I'm getting at. So, thanks for helping me out there, Showtime.
Yeah, so I'll be out there Sunday.
Showtime, how much is the load worth? Well, I'm a truck driver, and so anyway, yeah, that's about it. It's like he gave me no answer at all. He left me hanging.
My phone just cut out.
But just cut out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost them.
All right. All right, look, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll do the daily debate. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. And by the way, we'll have a little bit of time afterwards to talk a little bit more news. So if you want to call in, like Showtime or Hal from Chicago or Marco from Waco in the first hour, it's 877-FIGHT-93, 344-4893.
Furious for being too loud and too good looking. Once again, here's Gorgeous George and Goes.
Here's superstar Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels take on the Texas Rangers tonight on MLB Network Radio. Play-by-play begins at 10 Eastern on Sirius 209, XM89, and streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Today is the launch of Fight Nation Channel 156. We're no longer Fight Nation 93. Make that adjustment on your presets if it hasn't already been done for you. Again, we're Fight Nation 156 going forward. Same number applies, though. 877-FIGHT-93. 877-344-4893. Right now, it's time for the Daily Debate.
Brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
The same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's Daily Debate question for MMA Junkie Radio. With news that the UFC parent company Endeavor could go public, and actress Kate Del Castillo investing in Combate Americas, would you consider investing in MMA right now? Yes, no, maybe. What do you think, Goes? Do you think it's do you think MMA's blowing up, or have you seen your fair share of companies that haven't done well that you'd be scared off? Where do you sit?
Is there a hell no option?
Oh, wow. No.
I would go with that.
Why is that?
It's just everything seems to be controlled by the UFC. They are making salaries go up higher than I think they feel comfortable with, which kind of brings you closer to that boxing era and some of the problems that they've faced. It's good for the fighters.
The UFC was bought by Endeavor. At the time, it was WME IMG. They bought the UFC for $4 billion. Dana White says it has been rumored to say that it's already shot up to $7 billion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a piece of that?
PI's I'm not going to get a piece of their world.
Superstars.
I'm getting the leftovers.
What do you mean?
I can't get a piece of the UFC.
Yeah, that's what Endeavor's offering by going public.
I don't have it though. Well, but not big enough. Not to get involved like that.
Well, but think about does your money do well in your savings account? What does Chase pay you?
Here's the thing though, George.
Like literally $10 for every $10,000. I mean, I don't know. I'm throwing numbers out there, but like sitting under your mattress or in your bank account, like could it be at least maybe look whatever you feel about MMA, could it be considered a wise investment? Maybe.
No. And I'm going to get to more reasons why.
Okay.
I really, really think that the Fertitta sold at the right time because they were forecasting what was coming with everything going on with steroids, CTE, unionization. All those things, I think, were troublesome for them, and I think they saw it coming. And they said, you know, it was fun while it lasted.
Doesn't get any better than USADA, though, to control steroids.
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming soon.
They're willing to suspend Jones for a year or whoever, and the company still churns out profit after profit after profit. They're now with ESPN, Goes. Since the Fertittas left, they're now with ESPN. You see, you've credited them yourself and said they're blowing up.
I love the way ESPN.
The one scary thing is, you're right, the weight cutting, which with the UFC PI and the fact that the UFC PI staff now travels to the events, it looks like they're monitoring. They have doctors shut down weight cuts or shut down fights. CT, I'll give you credit. You're right. We won't know for another. I guess you could argue that some fighters have already showed symptoms. Some have publicly admitted it. Others have rumors or whisperings or whatever. Is it a problem yet? I don't know. Some would say just one is a problem, but I would say some people are just predisposed to having traumatic brain injury just from what if I played Mighty Might football or Pop Warner football for 8 years? Maybe I was just destined to have it, and I never stepped foot in an octagon. I don't know.
Or the field.
But what was your last issue?
My last issue. Oh, that was my last.
Okay, that was it. All right. So steroids, CT, weight cutting.
There's just two. Oh, and take a look at like our last big headlines every week. What's the biggest headlines? They really don't have anything to do with what's actually going on in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
I
go with yes, and I'll tell you what, because I've made bad investments before, And this one just seems like, I mean, I come in here 2 times a week, 2 hours a day. Sorry, 5 days a week, 2 times a day. And boast about how the UFC is like a cartel and they just sneak across load after load. Why is it that I'm using the word load a lot today? Load after load, and some get stopped at the border, or a submarine gets stopped, or an airplane gets stopped, but enough get through. They just keep growing and growing and growing, and they can make a good thing out of a bad thing. Conor McGregor threw a dolly through a bus and ruined 3 fights in Brooklyn. Came back 6 months later, and him and Khabib sold the biggest pay-per-view by far, by almost 1 million pay-per-views. They turned a negative into a positive. You know what? I would be into it, man. I think I would say, I mean, I don't have much to invest, but I don't know what the minimum would be, but if I had it, I think I might do it.
Who's the tiebreaker?
The tiebreaker is maybe. Well, what do you mean?
The Junkie Nation's the tiebreaker.
Oh, Junkie Nation's the tiebreaker. Yeah, yeah. And by the way, Kate Del Castillo investing in Combate Americas, that was pretty interesting as well. I'm sure she's surrounded by smart people. But, all right, it was pretty close. 44% said yes. 41% said no. 15% said maybe. So, wasn't a slam dunk on either side. All right, thank you to all you that voted. Junkie Nation, the readers of the site, the listeners of the show. Tomorrow, Goes will be on vacation. I will be here with Dan Tom. We'll have Randy Couture in studio, former UFC lightweight and heavyweight champion, current PFL broadcaster. We'll talk about PFL and some main events that they've announced. We know a lot of the dates for their fight cards, and we're going to go a little bit over the rosters. They have some new faces, fresh faces. They have some returnees. They have obviously most of the champions are coming back. They have a new division, the women's lightweight division. That's 155 pounds that they're going to debut. So season 2 will have a few new wrinkles, and we'll go over that with Randy Couture. We'll see if we can book another guest or two, but we're going to have a good time tomorrow. Goes will be back on Monday. All right, and don't forget, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships 5 goes down on Saturday. Go to bareknuckle.tv for ordering information. The main event features today's guest, Artem Lobov, versus yesterday's guest, Jason Knight. The winner could possibly get yesterday's other guest, Paulie Malignaggi, at a later card this year. They will be competing at 145 pounds, which is where they competed last in the UFC. They'll go 5 rounds, 2 minutes each, so 10 total minutes of fighting. No protection on the hands. It's bare knuckle, so you can collar tie, which is kind of what Artem Lobov was describing in terms of clinching with one hand. You can't do a spinning back fist. For the most part, it's boxing. There's no kicking. There's no kneeing. There's no elbows. But I'll tell you what, it's been pretty interesting. Chris Liebman's also on the card. Chase Sherman's on the card. Isaac Valley Flag, Johnny Bedford, all of them former UFC veterans. 10 fights overall. Pay-per-views $29.95, and they're very specific in where you can order and how you can order. So again, go to bareknuckle.tv.
I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, me too. All right. So one other thing here, just to repeat I guess the bad news of the day, Yoel Romero is out of his fight versus Ronaldo Jacare Souza for Sunrise, Florida. That's UFC on ESPN3. Kind of a bummer. But they're possibly working on Jack Hermanson versus Jacare Souza, and that card will go on. Paul Daly says he wants a rematch with Michael Page. I could be into that.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't live up to the
strategic
fireworks that we were expecting in the stand-up, I think I think they could convince me into part 2, if you will. Henry Cejudo, Marlon Moraes had some interesting words about Henry Cejudo. Check out MMAjunkie when you get a chance. There's about a 10-minute video there with a recent scrum that he did when he was at the UFC PI talking about Moraes. And he had an interesting take about TJ Dillashaw. He said, look, Dillashaw might have whatever problems he has, but he's still good. He goes, if you don't believe me, go out and do steroids and see if you can win a title. And I thought about it. I was like, that's pretty.
A lot of baseball players say that.
That's pretty nice backup, you know. So what he's saying is, it's just difficult to win a title, but if you're steroid free, it's more difficult. But even with steroids, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It was a compliment, even though he and I'm sure many are disappointed that it went down that way. Correct. All right, we are out of here. Tomorrow we'll be joined by Cobb, King of Banter, Mike Russo. He'll be producing back east. Thanks, Andre, for the 2 shows that you did. Good job. And really appreciate it, man. And so you enjoy your weekend and and WrestleMania. Have fun out there. For Andre and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be a champion.